Hello! Welcome to the show. I've changed a couple things on the camera setup and the audio, so hopefully we won't have any of the issues we've had in the past. Today we're going to be doing a video called The Top 10 Cheapest Countries to Live Lavishly On for $1,000 a month from our video channel called Across the Globe, so be sure to go check out their stuff. And let's go ahead and get started and watch.
Did you know that housing in Argentina is up to 15 times cheaper than the United States? Or that you can go almost anywhere in Peru for under 40 cents?
40 cents.
Today, we will look at the top 10 cheapest countries where you can live like royalty on just $1,000 a month. To determine...
See, that sounds pretty good to me. If nothing else, I don't think I'm going to have that much more than that upon my retirement anyways, according to my 401k and my Social Security and all the good stuff. So $1,000 a month sounds fantastic.
Which countries offer lavish living at relatively low costs? We examined the cost of living in these countries, which includes necessities like food, housing, transportation, the country's economy, the natural environment, and a number of other factors. Here is what we found. 10. Indonesia. It is common knowledge that the Republic of Indonesia is the fourth most populated country in the world, but you probably didn't know that it has one of the lowest costs of living, with an average living cost of below $500 per month.
Holy crap! On the other hand, it sounds like it's a really crowded place, and I'm not a big fan of huge crowds, so it's kind of a maybe for me so far.
Living in Indonesia, especially its thriving capital Jakarta, has an overall lower cost of living compared to the bigger Western countries. For example, it is 60% less expensive to live here than in New York or London, 40% less expensive than in Berlin, 50% less expensive than in Melbourne, and even 50% less expensive than in its neighboring...
Okay, wait a minute, let's back up on that. Less expensive than... Okay, here, let's try this again. It's 60%...
Less expensive to live here than in New York or London.
60% less expensive. They just said the cost of living there was about $500 a month. I don't know how to do the math in reverse that well, but they're saying that, what, the cost of living in, let's see, 50% of 500 would be... So they're still saying that the cost of living in New York is like $1,200 or something like that? Correct my math in the comments, I know it's wrong. But still, it doesn't make it sound like New York has that high of a cost of living, and we all know it does. Just weird math in my head, I guess.
40% less expensive than in Berlin.
40%, so not even 50%. So, and it's 500. So they're saying that the cost of living in London is like $1,000, $900? That's not right.
Percent less expensive than in Melbourne, and even 50% less expensive than in its neighboring country, Singapore. One of the best parts of living in Indonesia is its exotic cuisine. The country boasts different restaurants and street vendors, all offering a diverse selection of dishes. In addition, you can get a simple meal for less than $2. And if you'd rather have a home-cooked meal, you can shop for groceries to last you the whole month for less than $50.
See, this is a good case of you really should go and visit a country before you make the kind of decision like to move there. Obviously, that's what most people would do. But for me, one of my biggest concerns would actually be the food. What if you don't like Indonesian food? That's kind of a bummer, right? Hold on a second. Oh, no edits. We never edit anything out. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's so gross. All right, let's go.
An equally good part of living in the country are its beautiful, accessible beaches, especially in Bali and Lombok, which makes your stay there similar to that of a 5-star resort in the Hawaiian Islands, but less crowded and less expensive. Making your way to these beaches for a relaxing day costs next to nothing, as the country also has a good and cheap transportation infrastructure that allows you to easily get anywhere with taxi rides that cost fewer than 50 cents by the kilometer, bus tickets of 36 cents, and a monthly pass for bus rides at only about $14. You can settle down in a major city in a one-bedroom apartment for less than $300 and a
Wow. Here in the Metro Detroit area, if you can find like a one bedroom apartment for under $1,000, you're doing really good. More likely, it's probably gonna be closer to 12 to 1,500, depending on the area. And of course, that's just for regular. If you want to get into high end stuff, it gets crazy.
three-bedroom apartment for around $700 total.
Yes, a three bedroom apartment is gonna be like $2,400 or some crap like that.
So, all in all, you can live the life of the rich and powerful with $1,000 in Indonesia. 9. Bolivia.
Bolivia.
The country of Bolivia is one a lot of people are quickly discovering. Many for the indigenous culture, some for its geographical marvels, and some for the opportunity to live large.
Oh God, doesn't it look horrible? I mean, to me, I guess I don't want to live in a big city. I mean, I don't know. I've never lived in a big city. The closest big city to me, as I mentioned before, is Detroit. And as far as that goes, I've lived in Detroit as far as their boundaries go. But Detroit's, geographically speaking, a very spread out city. And so while it does have a downtown section like that, the vast majority of it is more spread out and more like single story businesses or a couple story businesses and homes and things like that. And our downtown area certainly doesn't look like that right there. When I say I lived in a city, it was, you can't even call it the suburbs, because I live in the suburbs of a city now. It's completely different, but it's still, considered being the city. I don't know. I'm just trying to say, yes, I've lived in Detroit, but I've never lived in like the Detroit-y part of Detroit.
On a relatively low budget. Bolivia is a landlocked country located in western central South America, and living here is undoubtedly less expensive than
Yeah, so no beachfront property in Bolivia.
in more developed nations. For just a little above $500, you can live out your month enjoying yourself without compromising your health and
Pretty.
comfort. A typical meal in the country would cost you as little as $2, while a more than decent family-sized platter with various options and salad bar access would cost you only $12. In addition, you can have a nice bottle of locally produced wine to go with your meals for about $3. So overall, you will enjoy a fine dining experience that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Moving around the country can be
That didn't really look like a fine dining experience, to be honest with you. It looked more like a campfire.
just as cheap, with taxi rides starting at 75 cents and one-way tickets across the cities costing only $27. While settling down, renting a one-bedroom apartment on the better side of town, which, of course, includes all amenities and even cable TV, would set you back less than $300 for a month. You could also spring for a luxurious three-bedroom condo in an upscale neighborhood for about $600 to $800 a month.
Yeah, so still less than I pay for my mortgage for my two bedroom, 1,000 square foot house. So,
All in all, with about $1,000, you can live it big in the country of Bolivia. 8. Nepal. The country of Nepal in southern Asia is also one of the cheapest countries in the world in terms of monthly expenses. This is because everyday life in the country is rather on the simple side, which makes the living standard a lot cheaper compared to neighboring countries.
'cause they ain't
On
got
average,
shit.
you can live quite a comfortable life in Nepal with a little above $500. A meal each day would only take about $2 from your pocket, and a fancy, expensive restaurant would only cost around $5. Eating home-cooked meals would cost even less, as grocery shopping for the month would cost less than $50. The transport system in the country will have you reaching any of your destinations with taxi rides that cost about 34 cents for every 5 to 10 kilometers you travel. Bus rides cost even less at around 22 cents for a one-way trip, and you can decide to rent a car for an entire day for just about $1. When you do decide to settle down in the
really?
country, an apartment on the better side of the local cities would cost only
Let's think about that for a second. You could rent a car for $1 a day. So you could have all the benefits of having a car with a car payment of $30 a month if you wanted to do it that way. Could you imagine that? Because I'm a big car person, and I love the car that I have right now. But what I don't love is worrying about it. I don't like worrying about the maintenance. I don't like having to worry about all that good stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I lease instead of buying, really, because I'm lazy. I don't want to mess with that kind of stuff. And for a good portion of my life, I had crappy cars, and I just wanted to have a car where I didn't spend the entire day going, what's that sound? You smell that? Oh, that rattle can't be good. Hey, is that smoke? Yeah. I did that for so many years that I hate doing it, and I hate worrying about any of that kind of stuff. So I lease, because that way if I hear a rattle, I go, ooh, that sounds expensive. That's going to be a problem for them, just not me. So being able to lease a car, excuse me, not lease a car, rent a car for basically $30 a month sounds fantastic.
Only around $140 a month. That goes to show that life in Nepal can give you a chance to experience a grander lifestyle because even after you add the cost of healthcare, which costs about $40 to consult a private doctor, and then the price of monthly utilities and even luxuries like employing housekeepers and more, you would be living a life of comfort with less than $1,000 a month. Number 7. Vietnam.
Housekeepers. Housekeepers. How's that for a thought? You guys ever had a housekeeper before? If you can afford one, good for you. And two, put down in the comments about your experiences with housekeepers. Because it sounds fantastic, but I don't particularly want people in my house. So, on one hand, I want to be lazy. On the other hand, I want my privacy. So yeah, that'd be a hard decision. Yeah, I'd probably be lazy enough. Come on, look at all my crap. Go ahead and clean my house.
Vietnam. Vietnam is another South Asian country that is just as nice to live in as it is cheap. Even though there are a number of things to do and see in the country with its lovely beaches, rivers, and bustling cities, it is still somewhat of an undiscovered gem of a country.
Really?
This allows an average
I'm pretty sure the United States discovered it back in the 70s pretty thoroughly.
person to live a pleasant life here with anywhere from $500 a month upwards. Although the cost of living in Vietnam varies from city to city, living in the more expensive cities like Ho Chi Minh would, on average, only cost you about $865 a month.
Oh.
You could be spending $300 on fine dining consisting of both local and international dishes, $60 on
Is it bad that for most of these I cannot identify what the actual food is? As in pork, beef, fish, whatever.
transportation to commute anywhere you want to go within the month, $400 on rent for a Western-style one-bedroom apartment, $70 on utilities, and about $35 for any other extra spending. That's a bargain for quality living. 6. Argentina. Stretching from southern
Don't cry for me, Argentina. Sorry.
Asia to the southern half of South America, we have the country of Argentina. Although it is the second largest country in South America, the cost of living here is pretty tame at about 50 to 60% less than in the United States. While the country offers a stunning variety of natural beauty, a peaceful way of life for the family, and the charm of a European city, the cherry on top is that you can live a lavish lifestyle here.
That looks like some horrible water, doesn't it? I'm sorry, that came out weird. It looks like some horrible water. What? Water. Water. Looks like some poopy water, doesn't it?
For about $1,000 a month. Many of the country's restaurants offer a bargain set lunch or dinner menu, which includes a starter, main course, and beverages for only $8. And if you fancy home-cooked meals instead, Argentine markets will have you filling shopping bags for less than $20. Getting around the country is
Filling shopping bags with what? That's a little non-specific. $20? I can't get out of the store for less than $100, even when I'm just buying for myself. And heaven help me if I'm actually buying for the wife and I both. Geesh. Yeah, that's a funny story. I do most of the grocery shopping. Not that my wife refuses to. I just prefer to do it that way because for us, we don't eat a lot of meals at home. Mostly because we work a lot. So our grocery bills are relatively low. Like on an average week, I can probably get out of the grocery store with like $80, $90, $100. that's just because remember there's just the two of us and our pets. If I let her go to the store, I think the bare minimum that she gets out of there for is like $230, $240. And she's even said she prefers me to go to the store because she knows I'm just going to buy what we need, and she has a habit of buying what she sees, which makes for an expensive grocery bill.
Is also a breeze as taxi rides cost less than $1 for a mile. Even their local
$1 per
buses
mile.
run cheaper and can get
They'll get expensive. Let's see. I drive up, and I don't drive much. I don't. Well, no, actually, I would still be pretty cheap when it comes right down to it. For example, I drive about 17 miles a day. Call it 20 miles a day just to make it round up. So that's 20 miles a day, so it would cost me $20 a day. So yeah, that would get kind of expensive because, a $600 a month taxi bill is getting up there. But on the other hand, I know people that pay more than $600 a month for their car payment. So, I guess depends on how you look at it.
you across the cities for 25 to 50 cents. While a 3-bedroom apartment in the center of California might cost you about $6,000 a month, you can get the same type of deal for less than $400 in Argentine cities. That's about 15 times cheaper with the same lavish standards. 5.
That's a pretty architecture.
Peru. Peru is another South American.
Oh, there you go. That's beautiful, isn't it? I would love to live someplace where you could see the big ships going by. Up here in the Michigan area, we do have, believe it or not, big ass ships in the Great Lakes. I think the biggest one's a little over 1,000 foot. Can't get much bigger than that because of the various locks that they have to get through while traveling through the Great Lakes. They only accommodate a certain size. But a 1,000-foot long ship is a big ass ship, and I'd love to be able to just sit in my living room, look out the window, and see them go by. There's been a couple of properties I've seen around here that if I could have afforded, I definitely would have jumped on right along, like right on the Detroit River or Lake Huron. I think it's Lake Huron, yeah.
American country that is one of the least expensive countries in the world to live in. The average living cost in this mega diverse country can be as low as just above $500. While most people are aware that going to Peru might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience an ideal vacation on a tight budget, not many know that it is also a place where you can live your life in.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome looking, isn't it? I wouldn't mind. You know what? Like I said, I'm not really sure how set I am on big city living, but to have one of those apartments there right on the edge of that cliff overlooking the sea, that would be pretty badass.
Grand style on $1,000 a month. A 1-bedroom apartment in the center of any city in the country would cost about $360 a month. And you could also get a lavish 3-bedroom apartment for under $700 in the city center. While you have the option of eating out at restaurants for $3 a meal, or about $10 for a 3-course meal, you can also home cook whatever you like at an even lower cost, since grocery shopping
That was chicken. I spotted chicken. I know what chicken looks like.
there for the whole month would cost you less than $50. The transport system is another thing to go crazy about in Peru because
Woo! Yeah, let's go crazy about transportation in Peru. Woo!
you can get public rides anywhere for as little as 38 cents and a monthly pass for about $15. After paying for all the essential utilities for only $56, you'd still be left with some cash out of your monthly $1,000 to spend however you want. 4. Mexico.
Am I sick? Do I have allergies? Did I just smoke way too much pot back in the 90s? I don't know where some of my respiratory problems come from. Oh, sorry. I know that's gross. I'm just too lazy to edit it out.
You might be surprised to see Mexico on this list, but the current economic state of Mexico makes it one of the least expensive countries to live in. And
Yeah, it's one of the least expensive countries to live in because people are killing each other up in there. You know? See, they're talking about the quality of living and the cost of living in a lot of these countries, and I don't think that the quality of living matches up to like what they're saying for a lot of those. Good examples. Here's Mexico.
it is often the first settlement choice for American retirees when looking for a cheaper place to live. The average cost of living in Mexico can come in at under $745 each month. And although it might be a less expensive country to live in, it is still a big and beautiful one to find yourself in. Housing may be your biggest expense in the country, and even then, you can still find a good quality apartment for around $375 a month. You can gorge on any type of food you'd like, especially authentic Mexican cuisine for under $300 a month. For transportation, this will cost you only about $20 for the whole month. With all these expenses, you'd have more than enough left to enjoy the lavish lifestyle in Mexico.
Lavish lifestyle
3.
in Mexico.
Malaysia. Malaysia in Southeast Asia is another country with a low cost of living and high quality of life. Hence, it is now common for people to relocate there, and even the country's government encourages foreigners to retire on their lands. The average cost of living for a person in Malaysia, excluding rent, is a little less than $500, and renting a one-bedroom apartment here would cost between $300 to $500.
Back that up just a second. Look at that.
And renting a one-bedroom apartment here would cost...
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Look at that. What an amazing area to live in. I mean, the water looks a little on the greeny side, but other than that, that's fantastic. Apartments look a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Brutalist? I mean, it's a cool location, but those aren't good-looking buildings as far as I'm concerned. Especially this one here. Yeah, these two on the right here, they're not too bad. And there's a cool bridge looking back there, but yeah.
$300 to $500. The transportation costs for an entire month would amount to less than $50, and you would spend less than $30 per month for good health care. Seeing all the numbers, it's no wonder why Malaysia is rated one of the best countries in the world for students based on the cost of living.
It's pretty.
2. Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
You might know that Central American Costa Rica is covered in lush rainforests and beautiful tropical beaches.
I've known a couple people that have vacationed in Costa Rica, and they said it was a lot of fun. Never been there myself. Never been anywhere, really.
And is a cool and laid-back place to visit. But did you know that the country is so budget-friendly that the average cost of living is $1,000 a month? For starters, Costa Rica's real estate could put a smile on your face, as it is 64% lower than that of the United States.
Oh, that's beautiful, too.
This is why you could rent a furnished two-bedroom apartment here for as little as $400 a month.
It's not going to be this place. I'm pretty sure the place they're showing you is way more expensive than $400 a month.
To live in, you will probably spend no more than $50 a month for all your utilities. The amazing selection of fine dining is another thing to smile about because getting groceries is up to 50% less expensive than in the US. You would be spending about $200 on food a month, which would be enough for you to eat no less than royalty. The best thing about living in Costa Rica is that you can spend close to nothing on transportation while living there because if you don't have a car, you would only need to spend about $40 a month to get wherever you need to go. That sounds like a good way to live. 1. Cambodia.
Cambodia?
Last but clearly not least, the Kingdom of Cambodia ends our list of affordable countries to live in. The average cost of living in this Asian country can be about $800 a month. And especially in its capital city of Phnom Penh, you can live a life of luxury on a tight budget. Rent here is cheaper and you can find a comfortable apartment for about $300 a month.
Is it the apartment there? I mean, my biggest problem with all these places that they show you of, where you can live, it's really, really cheap. It's really congested. And honestly speaking, now it's changed now because Detroit's gotten a lot better. But like 10 or 15 years ago, you could beat these prices in Detroit. They're like, oh, you're living in downtown area for $700 a month. I'm like, yeah, you can get a downtown area place in Detroit 10 or 15 years ago for under $700 because it was a crappy place to be. Nowadays, it's a lot better and rent prices are way higher. But seriously speaking, about 15 years ago, Detroit market was so cratered that you could get like nice spots for literally $500, $600, $700 a month.
Among your daily expenses, food may be your highest cost, where you might be spending as much as $11 for a decent meal. However, the cost of transportation is on the low side, which makes up for the high cost of food. Furthermore, Cambodia goes pretty easy on foreigners as most of its economy comes from its tourism. So overall, this is a great place to live for under $1,000 per month. What about if you just stuck to Europe? Check out the video.
Well, that was interesting. It didn't prompt any travel plans right away, but it is good to know that those places are really cheap. Let me know in the comments of the 10 that they listed, what would be the one that you would go to? For me, if you made me pick one, possibly Vietnam, possibly Argentina might be really cool as well. But other than that, it's hard to pick. They're all pretty even when it comes right down to it. But anyways, that's enough of that for today. Please leave me a comment. Let me know if you liked it or not. Also, please leave a comment with a suggestion for something you'd like me to watch. I always appreciate that. But until next time, you guys have yourself a fantastic day. If you could like and subscribe and maybe comment, I'd really appreciate it.